welcome to TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. A Barcelona news roundup coming up for you today. We are into the weekend. There's no football on right now, but Barcelona have just completed their second training session in successive days, and there is some big news to bring you, the good and also the bad, because in today's video, we're going to be talking about yet more disappointment for Samuel Umtiti. We're going to be talking once again about the future of Jean-Claude Todibo with an encouraging development, and really importantly, some massive words from Víctor Font. We're going to be going through his aim for Barcelona, his plan for the future, which very much includes Xavi Hernández, and Font also gives his thoughts on Neymar Jr. It's all coming up in today's video, a big one today. Let's get to it. But if we start first and foremost with that training session, which once again came this morning, the second training session since returning there to work. And once again, the training was focused this morning on individual work with and without the ball. And you can see there in the photos, once again, the social distancing was very much observed. The players once again were spread out onto 3 different pitches, all there with a good distance between them. But you can also see there the players had all been given the equipment they'd need to carry out the different types of drills, the different types of movements there, just to test exactly what they can do in the return here, just easing themselves once again into the training, before eventually we'll step it up and we'll get the group once again training all together. And the players will indeed return to training on Monday morning now. They'll have Sunday off to spend at home, of course, with their families, and they'll return once again on Monday morning at 9:30 as our work continues to progress. One man, though, who unfortunately appears unlikely to appear now in that training session on Monday is Samuel Umtiti, who in this morning's training session suffered an injury. I mean, can you believe that? Umtiti injured in this morning's training session, a right calf injury, with the club confirming the news this afternoon, and it is disappointing. You know, we don't know right now, the club haven't disclosed if it's serious, it could just be a little bit of a knock there to Umtiti, but either way, given his injury record, given the fact that every single time that he steps out on the field now, he seems to be fighting his own body to actually get through the session or get through the game, and it's the last thing that he would have wanted here. Just 2 days into the return to training, he's suffered, he's broken down there with another injury. So disappointing, and it actually makes the news on Todibo, for me, all the more important now. Because yesterday we did speak about the future of Jean-Claude Todibo, and we also spoke about Ronald Araujo in the process, and I think we all remain right now very cautious about Todibo's return to the club. We don't want to get too excited. We don't want to think about this young, exciting centre-back really making his name in that Barcelona defence, simply because the club seem to view him, and I say the club, I mean the board, they seem to view him right now as somebody who can basically get some money in. That's the way they seem to see Jean-Claude Todibo right now, which for me is a ridiculous view. Why are you thinking about money? Why are you thinking there about a few million euros when you could be thinking about somebody there who's a great player, a fantastic emerging player, who could be at the heart of our defence, which desperately needs reinforcement? But I do want to bring you guys today some hope, some optimism, some encouragement with regard to Todibo, because there's one man who could save him from being sold this summer, and that man, according to MD, is Quique Setien, because they've come out this morning in a report there that says Quique Setien wants to see Jean-Claude Todibo in action, out on the field, before any decision is made about his future. And I think that's important there, because obviously when Quique Setien arrived back in January, Todibo was already about to sign for Schalke, so there was nothing really that he could do at that time. But now, when Todibo returns from that loan spell, when he comes back to the club, Setien is saying, look, I want to have a look at this guy before we make any decision about what we're going to do with him, and that's what we need to do. We've just got to hope here the club respect the views there of Quique Setien, that they respect there what the coach wants to do, and especially here with doubts surrounding Umtiti. We don't know, of course, how long Gerard Piqué is going to go on for. We need a centre-back. We need something here with a view to the future. Todibo can be that man, given the opportunity. But I do want to move on now to those words from Víctor Font, because yesterday he spoke for about an hour and a half via a video call, basically there to discuss in so much detail about his plans for the presidential campaign, and in particular to outline his ambitions for his project, Sí al Futur, which does exactly what it says on the tin, because that translates there as yes to the future. And that's exactly what Victor Font's campaign and his vision is all about. That's what he seems to have in his mind there, a clear idea of how he wants to see the club in the future. Because Font emphasises there that in the coming years, Barcelona as a club have a huge number of obstacles we're going to need to overcome. He spoke there about life without the greatest player the club had ever seen in Lionel Messi. He also spoke there about the challenge of Espai Barça, the renovation there and the redevelopment of the Camp Nou and all of the surrounding area too. And also, of course, he spoke about the economic crisis caused by the current situation that is another obstacle the club are going to have to overcome. And Font said, these are topics of great complexity that are going to require a clear project that has been very well designed. He said, we've been working on our project to completely transform the club's management model for 7 years now, since 2013. So he's been working on that project a long time. He said, we had to form a whole team, we had to come up with an action plan, and that is exactly what See Al Futur is all about. And that's what I like about Font. That's what I like there about the whole feeling surrounding his plan. It's all with that long-term vision. It's about evolution, it's about development, it's about philosophy. He doesn't just promise here a few big names. He doesn't just throw out a potential signing or two in order to gather some potential voters. Because that's the thing. His campaign, quite clearly, isn't just about winning support in the short term. He is thinking much bigger than that for the club as a whole. He said, I want to make it clear that our project isn't a presidential project. It is a model to completely transform the club and its management and the way the club is run. He spoke about technology. He spoke there about getting members that are abroad, not just inside of Spain, which is something I think we could all certainly get behind. And I think given the way now the club has been run for many years, that's what we need. We need a complete overhaul, something new, something different, something fresh, to inject there some new energy into the club, to bring this club ultimately back to life. And that for me is exactly what Font is saying. And once again, Font went on in that video call to say that Xavi would be the chosen one should he be elected. He said Xavi will be the cornerstone of the Barca sports project for the next 10 years. We work all the time with the idea of him being our coach. Which again, that's a real long-term vision right there. That is something that undoubtedly has already been discussed there between Font and Xavi. They're two people there who've always seemed destined to work together, and hence why, once again, Xavi rejected Bartomeu's advances back in January, and Font was asked there about individuals. He was asked directly there about his preferences relating to new signings, and I particularly enjoyed his answer when asked about Lautaro Martinez. Font said, I loved his performance when he came to the Camp Nou with Inter, but the decision of whether to sign a player or not would be made by Xavi and the entire sports structure, not the president. Which again, that's the direction we need. We don't need a president who's going to get involved in every single moment of the club. We just need somebody there at the helm who can control things and, most importantly, delegate. Have the people around you who can make the right decisions. Put the faith there in the coach that you brought in. And that seems exactly the kind of vision there that Victor Font has. He also went on to say, very interestingly, that he preferred Kylian Mbappe to Neymar Jr. Because even though he said there that Neymar is a more complete player, he said he feels Mbappe is much more focused on football, which is why he'd opt instead for Mbappe, and that was there a very interesting take indeed. But it was actually Font's final message that I think we can really get behind, because he was particularly critical there of the way the club currently go about their transfer business. In particular, he cited the purchase of Junior Firpo from Real Betis last summer in a deal there that could reach 30 million euros, when he said the club already owned Marc Cucurella, who's had yet another impressive season in La Liga this time out. And he said there, we must always defend the talent that we currently have at home. And I think that again is a statement that every single one of us can get behind. We have to work with our own players. We have to work with what we have, what we produce. That is a sustainable model. And I really do believe that Victor Font, he seems to have the intelligence, he seems to have there the people around him who can certainly help in making all the right decisions. And most importantly, he feels like somebody who comes with a plan to put the club back where they need to be, to overcome the obstacles that he did mention. We are going to need to be ready for those. And I think there, See Al Futur is exactly what the club is crying out for. We need to look to the future. And the man for that is Victor Font. we must support him. And I did feel as though that was a really interesting insight there into Victor Font and his campaign to come. Of course, when the elections in 2021 do get closer, I've said on many, many occasions, I'll be bringing you all the latest, everything you need to know about exactly what the candidates are bringing to the table. But Victor Font, for me, so far, he seems to be the one with that clear vision of what he wants at the club. A few little notices here, though, for Sunday before we end in today's video. Number one, on Sunday at 6 p.m. BST time, if you are interested in F1, Arthur Melo is going to be competing in Sunday's virtual Grand Prix, the Spanish Grand Prix it's going to be. He's going to be racing there for Haas, with Sergio Aguero and Thibaut Courtois also set to be involved in the race, which will also include actual F1 drivers too: Charles Leclerc, Alex Albon, Lando Norris, George Russell and Nicholas Latifi. So that might be interesting there. I'm really looking forward personally to seeing Arthur Melo and what he can do in that virtual Grand Prix. And also, coming tomorrow, guys, it's going to be my first Bundesliga video. It's just 1 week away now until the action begins, until football is back on our screens. And in tomorrow's video, I'm going to be talking and giving you an overview of the Bundesliga teams that you should be keeping an eye on, the Barcelona links to each of them, and maybe who you can be following when the Bundesliga gets going again. So I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Plenty more coming up. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça.